All right, great. So we'll kick off. So I'm Virginia Gordon. I'm the Alliance and Growth Manager for StoreConnect, and I work with our partners, all of you, to help ensure that we provide a fantastic service in partner support. So this morning, this is our first partner technical webinar, and we're going to make this into a series where Michael and other members of our team will deep dive into technical aspects of StoreConnect to help you implement it. And today we're going to be discussing how to build a homepage, and our illustrious Michael Linzer is going to do that with you today. So hello, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. It's great to be here. Thanks, Virginia, for that great introduction. I will just jump right into it. So this is very much a free-form event. I'm going to be doing this live. And as this is our first event, we have to just fix a couple of things like me not being able to screen share. So let me just make sure. Virginia, you might have to enable me being able to screen share. Little bugs, but that's okay. That's why we're all jumping on. All right, excellent. So I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. Obviously, as we go through this is a webinar for partners. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. If I can answer them then and there, I will. If I'll be answering them later in the webinar, I'll do that. But otherwise, we'll just get straight into it. Expect one or two occasional glitches because I am doing this live, as I mentioned. But that's also part of the fun, I think. So, and you can also see some of the pro tips around that and how it all hangs together and how StoreConnect actually works in practice when you're playing with it. So as Virginia said, this is the first in multiple webinars that we'll be doing. We're planning on doing one every month at least. And we'll go through different aspects of StoreConnect. Today, we're going to be focusing around just the very basics of the content management system, how to make a homepage, what you can and can't do, and some things around that, just to give you a foot in the door into what we're happening. So before we begin, however, there is some exciting news in that we just launched our certification program. So this is a major step forward for StoreConnect. We found that one of the biggest problems that StoreConnect has is it does a lot. And our partners were having trouble getting up to speed on how quickly they could actually build out certain functions. We had some partners recommending to customers to build out a whole custom solution when StoreConnect did it out of the box. And they just didn't know. So we've started putting this together. And if you go to our help website, help.getstoreconnect.com, and search for certification. So I'll just pull that up here and you'll see what I mean. So if you search for certification, you've got the administrator certification. And this is a program and it's a series of steps. You've got your fundamentals here, and then all the various things that you need to be able to demonstrate to be able to do in order to do this, to achieve the level 1 basic certification. And as you can see, there's quite a few points. And then it goes into level 2, which does more of a deep dive into all of the functions. And all of that together achieves your StoreConnect Administrator certification. We have multiple certifications coming after this, such as specialist ones around SEO or design. The StoreConnect Expert will be launched, which deep dives into every module of StoreConnect and make sure that you know it backwards. And then once you've finished all of those, there'll be a StoreConnect Architect certification, which obviously only the most trained will receive. We're also going to launch a StoreConnect Consultant certification, which does require this basic administrator function as a certificate, but the consultant certification is more for partners, the sales teams who want to be able to sell StoreConnect and understand how should you price different things and what do you need to look out for and all of that sort of stuff to make sure you really know what you're doing. But anyway, we're excited about this. We really want to turn it into a big program. There will be a more formalized training sequence on a learning management system soon, which will walk you through the steps and automatically check that you've done each step. However, you are more than welcome to go and follow these steps and then go and follow these steps. And then at the end of it, tell us and we'll give you the certificate. And everything that's on here that you need to do is found in our website. And over the next few days, you'll start seeing the help articles related to each of these steps appearing in the checklist so that you can self-train yourself through it if you want to do that. So enough of that. Let's get back to what we're here for today. And I'll just leave my screen like this so I can go through instead of doing a whole presentation full screen thing. So excuse me. So what we're here today for is introduction to pages, content blocks, and building a basic homepage. So this is obviously a fundamental with StoreConnect. You need to be able to have a system where you can create the design of the store. And fundamentally, this comes into these 5 parts, which we're going to go over today. What are pages? What are the content blocks? How to add images, such as media, how to build out a basic homepage with some parts to it, and how to add some simple styling changes to that site. I'll also touch on our theme builder for more advanced changes, although I won't get into it in this webinar, but I'll also add in some comments around our menu builder, custom headers, custom JavaScript, things like that, although they will form future webinars. So we'll deep dive further into that. Now, why are we doing this as the first function? Well, fundamentally, every store needs to look great. And if you don't have a fantastic image on your storefront, you're going to be turning away customers. So this is the first thing that will impress a customer when they land on the site. They'll be able to see that you care, that you've put some design into it, that you're looking at the site and growing it, and it will convert sales. So this is the first entry point into StoreConnect once you've set up some products, and we'll get right into it. So as I mentioned, StoreConnect has a fairly powerful CMS. We run that CMS through pages, content blocks, media, as well as custom JavaScript, style sheets, and StoreConnect themes. But everything you need to do to manage that CMS is done from within Salesforce, and we're going to show you bits of that today. All of the websites that you can see on the screen right now are built with the CMS. So you can do a whole range of designs. There isn't, especially on the homepage, there's basically no limit as to what you can and can't achieve with the content on that page. So if you have a great design and you're unsure on how to implement it, as a partner, you can always hit up our support team, and Herson, who is our theme extraordinaire design specialist within StoreConnect, will be able to answer you and point you in the right direction. So let's just explore some of the components of this CMS first in terms of the structure, so that we know what we're looking at as we grow from there. So what is a page, a content block, and media? So this is a very simple design of what we're talking about. So a page, you could think of a page as having a path, such as about us, or just the home page, or special content. Anything that you want can be the page, and the page defines the path that the customer will be visiting in order to see that page content. Now, as a note, pages can be restricted as to who can see them. So you can restrict a page to memberships, things like that. So if you have special content that's members only, you can sign them up through a checkout on a subscription, get that membership, and then they can go get access to that page, whereas they wouldn't otherwise. It would say you need a membership to view. But for what we're talking about today, we're just creating the home page. So the path would just be / on the end of the page. Then within a page, you have content blocks. You also have the page content. So you can do something like put some content just up in here, which is just plain text. If we did, oops, if I do something like this, you could put this content up the top and have that page content there like this, if you wanted, and then have that very long. And that wouldn't have to be a content block. That could just be some text, although you very rarely do anything like that because your styling options are quite limited. So what you do want to do is you want to create these content blocks, and a content block can create and contain text. It can contain images, videos, PDFs, any sort of media that we support on StoreConnect, and we basically support all of them. But a content block, as you can see down the bottom, can also contain other content blocks. So you can nest these content blocks within each other. So this helps you do things like side-by-side layouts, or 3-column layouts, which go into a vertical content on a mobile device, things like that. So with the nesting, it looks a bit like this. You've got your page at the bottom, then you might have a container block parent, which then sets the width of the children in another content block. And then it has the actual text content blocks within that. And that then nests into a structure. And you can nest this as much as you require to make it work. So this is how that nesting hangs together. And what we'll be showing today is some nesting with a slideshow. And I'll be showing a home page. And the goal of showing the home page, we're going to end up with a bit of introductory text at the top, a slideshow with 3 images coming across, and then some featured products underneath. And then on top of that, within the slideshow, we'll then show how to edit those. So instead of just being a single image, they become an image with text, or putting another content block into it. So you can nest these content blocks however you want, and we'll show you how that all hangs together. And as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, throw them into the Q&A. I'm more than interested in answering those, and we'll make this as dynamic as possible. Yeah. Does every page need a parent content block? No, that's a fantastic question though. You don't. So you can just go page content, and I'm actually going to show that straight away. That's probably the first thing we're going to show. And then you can also just go page content block. You don't have to nest within a parent content block. Good answer. Thank you. Excellent. So I think my next step is looking at the types of content blocks. So this is important. All of it's on our help website. So what I'm going to do is just jump into the help website and show you, instead of trying to rebuild it all here. So if we go to our documentation, this is help.getstoreconnect.com. Critical for you to play around with this. If you then click on documentation here, there's a whole section called Store Design, which goes over designing themes, page building, media uploads, and navigation, like menus, menu structures, header and footer menus, things like that. Today, we're going to be focusing mainly on page building. We've got page management, how to use Markdown within pages and Liquid. And then these are the content blocks and the building blocks of pages. So we can open up some of these and you'll see what I mean. So if we go to using content blocks, a content block is just a container of content that can be reused in multiple places on the website. So a content block is not tied to a specific page or store. This is an important thing to know. A page is tied to a specific store because it has a path, and that path has to be unique per store. So if you create an About Us page, that would be unique to that store. And say you had 3 stores with 3 different currencies, but you wanted to use the same content on About Us. Well, the way you would achieve that is you'd make an About Us page for each store, but then you would just embed the one content block which contained all the content for that page. And then you would share that across those 3 pages. So that's how that would hang together. To look at the different types of containers we can do, remember on that image of the nesting, you might want no layout, which just means, and this is the sort of default content if you don't put a parent content block on your page. So it's just one content block after the other down the page. You can do even distribution of children. And the mobile image here shows you what it looks like on a mobile view. 1/3 left, 2/3 right, 1/3 right, 2/3 left. No wrapping, 4x4, 3 columns, no wrapping, 4 columns, no wrapping. And then you have the wrapping versions here, which is quite common and popular when you're designing a site. You want to collapse them down vertically. So you can create a container template of a content block of the full width on smaller screens and 2 columns on larger. And then you might add 6 child content blocks to it. And that would make a 3x2 grid. And then on a mobile device would just collapse it into a vertical 1 wide as you change the size of your site. So these container content blocks are really useful. You can also do things like a 2/3 left, 1/3 right, but then within the 2/3 left, you can put the 2 column content block in there if you wanted. And you can do things like this to play with it, to nest and move things around. And all of these are actually overwritable as well with our theme structure, but these get you a long way to begin with. Then we have all the content block default templates. So the first type of content block is a container. That is what these are. These are the container content blocks. So container content blocks of themselves don't include any content, right? They're purely a layout container content block that you then add other content blocks to that coordinates their layout and structure. Then you have the content type content blocks here. No added styling is if you just need a content block that you want to purely style yourself with HTML and not add anything to it. That's just a raw, just a container. But then you have these ones like text or single image or image with text overlay. And these do things such as allowing you to set alignments of the overlay or add an image to it and link label. All of these are also overwritable with our themes collection, which we'll do another webinar on. And I'll show you a little bit more later. But all of these contain a certain type container content block template, which these image items are plugged into. So there's a lot there. I highly recommend when you're getting into doing design on this to go through reading those. And if you have any questions, again, please do reach out. So let's build a page and see if this works. And I think I'm going to need a bit of coffee before this. So let's dive into it. So I've got my notes over here because I am going to do this live and it's a bit wild. So first off, we have our demo StoreConnect site here. And we'll go into the CMS section. So the first thing you need to know is that you have all these apps with StoreConnect, and here's the CMS app. So you would want to have that available to you and go into it. The CMS app includes things such as pages, content blocks, and I'll just set these to be the ones that we're talking about now. So I'll just do a partner webinar content blocks. And I'll just change this to be all and add filter where the content block name includes partner. So this will just allow us to see what we're doing without looking at anything else. But this is actually a key point, that you can have multiple websites on StoreConnect. So each of these can be completely different if you want. The other thing in here is the store. So we've created this partner webinar store. And I've already gone up and uploaded some products into this. So you can see the store domain name is here. So we'll just go to the store. This is what it looks like out of the box. So we've got our company logo. We've created 4 products on the neckties. They're nice little products and we can go and see them. And we can see that they've got multiple images. They've got specifications. All this sort of stuff has been added in. And by the way, if you want any of these ties, I borrowed them from this company called Ota in Melbourne. They've got some great ties. Definitely go along and buy them if you like them. But we have our basic store. We have no homepage. So this is what we're going to solve immediately. Just had a question in from Naveed that do all of these images or do content blocks impact file storage? So yes, but only the text. So the images we save off onto a content delivery network. So if we go behind the curtain here and inspect this tie, you'll see that while the text is coming out, we're serving this content block from Cloudinary. So none of the images are actually stored in Salesforce, which saves bucket loads on Salesforce file storage. However, having all of that within Salesforce means that all of your website is getting updated with your standard Salesforce backup solutions. So you can create a backup of StoreConnect via own backup or the Salesforce backup tooling, or even just a CSV data export would back up an entire site. In terms of on discovery calls, in terms of content, you're rarely going to get a customer that's going to hit any sort of data limits from the CMS point of view, unless they've got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of blog posts or something, because it's all just text. So 1 megabyte of text is an entire dictionary, just, you know, to give you some data. Dictionaries used to fit on a 1.44 floppy, 1.5 megabyte floppy. So you can get a huge amount of data in on that. So they're not really going to overcome the data storage limits on that side. More where data storage limits start coming in is if they have hundreds of thousands of orders per month, which just start growing. That's really where you're going to hit data limits. So I wouldn't worry too much about that short term. All right, so the first thing we need to do, it tells us right here, add a content page and configure your desired content blocks and set it as the store's homepage by editing the appropriate store in your Salesforce organization. All right, well, let's do that. So we'll jump into the store and we'll go down this store page. You can see we've got a whole heap of settings in here, but what we're after is down the bottom here, the content management. Here's the homepage, and yes, there's no content block or content page defined. So we're going to go and create one. So we'll just go a new page straight in there, and we're going to call it the Partner Webinar homepage. We're going to add it to our Partner Webinar store because, as I said before, every page needs a store. We'll call it the homepage as the identifier. There's no parent page in this case. We'll give it the path of /, which is the root homepage. And then the title, we're going to put in just a, actually, we're not going to do anything in the title. This is where we might want to put the content in. But in this case, we're just going to put it straight in here. We're going to call it, I'm going to put this title in like this. So this is showing some markdown where I want to change and set the markdown directly and set that content directly. And then we're going to include the metadata in here because every page should have some metadata. And this just shows how that hangs together. Don't worry about this currency field. Salesforce adds that to every layout. When you enable multi-currency, you can obviously remove that. Pages don't have a currency. Good, so we've created that homepage. And now what's happening in the background is that is synchronizing across over to Salesforce and to the website and to the StoreConnect dashboard itself. And one thing to bear in mind is that that synchronization can take a minute or two. This is somewhat frustrating sometimes as a partner because you're not quite sure, did I do the right thing? Is it going across? I'm very happy to announce that in a couple of months, we will be launching a new synchronization service that will take that synchronization from a couple of minutes down to 3 or 4 seconds. And we're trialing that right now in multiple environments. But if we go across here and refresh, there you go. It has already synced across, and you can see that we've got that welcome, but everything's hard up against the edge, right? So as a first step, because we're not using a container, a parent container content block, there's no padding or anything defined on that. So we can solve this 2 ways. We could go ahead and create a parent container and put that in the content block and then edit that. And that is actually a very useful way if you've got multiple stores in multiple currencies and you want to share that homepage content across multiple stores. But in this case, I think we can just go in and we'll just go to the store and we'll just add a custom style in this case. Now, this CSS is designed mainly for just small little tweak changes. There's a whole help article around what you can and can't do there. We've got variables that you can define for store colors and things like that, which we might cover in future webinars. But this just gives us a bit of padding. And in a minute, that will refresh and we'll see what that looks like on the other end as it goes through. Good. So this doesn't look too fantastic. There's not much there yet. So the next thing we're going to do is start adding a slideshow. So to add a slideshow, we first need to upload some images for that slideshow. So let me just pull that up. And we've gone to the media content here, and you can see all of our neckties. These neckties are available as media objects in any content block in the system. So whatever media you do upload, you can then reuse it anywhere else. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to create some media objects, and I'll just drag and drop a file onto that. And what it will do is it will grab that file, upload it, and directly push that up to the content delivery network so that you're not paying for that as an ongoing data storage cost, which is something that Naveed mentioned at the start. This can take a little bit if the images are fairly big, and these ones are. So I'm just going to add 3 of these so that we've got 3 images ready to go. You can also see there that you could upload videos as well. You could upload PDFs. Anything you really want can be uploaded on that to go live. So that's that second one, almost done, and we'll save a new. And then we'll just do the third one here. And that's also an image, and we'll save that. So now we've got those 3 images. And if we go back to our media now, you can see that we've got the images being uploaded and saved in different formats and styles and what they look like. And they'll be available for us to play with as we go forward and check them out. And there's the third one. Good, so now we've created that. The next thing we want to do is we'll go back to our home page and we want to create a slideshow. So we'll go and create this slideshow. The slideshow doesn't exist because we haven't made it. So we would search for it, but it's not there. So we're just going to go new content block. And this isn't a container. This is a slideshow. So we're going to scroll down here and add slideshow. Now, if you do customize these with liquid themes, you can adjust what's in the pick list and pull that together. So we'll add the partner webinar slideshow. And that's really all we need to create on this. We'll just go ahead and save it. And we'll put it at position 10. So we're going to put it at the top of the page and we'll go ahead and save that slideshow. So now the partner webinar has a slideshow. There it is. So now we want to add the content blocks to display within the slideshow. Now a slideshow automatically renders any content block within it. So we'll just go and create another content block. So we'll go new content block and we'll just create a single image here. And for the image, we're going to choose that partner slideshow 1, click save and new. Oh, we need slideshow image 1. And then we'll do another single image. And we'll call this slideshow image 2. And we'll take the second one. And then we'll do another single image. Slideshow image 3, and pull that image in. Now, we've created those, but now I need to just create those associations. Slideshow image 2, we'll put that at position 20. And slideshow image 3, we'll put that at position 30. All right. So now we have a slideshow with images. But if we went to our store and looked at that and refreshed that, it wouldn't come up. Now, the reason for that is over here, we're not telling it to actually render the content blocks. Because we've specified our own content in here, we want the homepage to render all the content blocks that have come in. So what we'll do is we'll add this. And what that does is that's some liquid code, which is going off and selecting all the content blocks that are in the site associated with that page, and then rendering them live on the website. So that will then allow us to go back to our site. And you can see that that little bit of padding was added there, by the way. And if we refresh this page, again, it can take a little while to open, but there we have some of our images. Now, this is a very vertical slideshow. So the other ones are more horizontal, and there we do. We have our slideshow running. And this actually points out one interesting thing about images and slideshows. You want to either restrict the height with some custom CSS, or you want to upload images with the same height so that you're not getting strange layout shifts like that, if that makes sense. So it's an important thing to bear in mind. And we can go ahead and fix that by changing that media object or just simply removing it from the slideshow, which is what I will do. So we're going to go back into that slideshow page and we'll just get rid of that first one, delete it from the list. And now we're going to have a consistent layout. one of the people before this webinar asked us a question of, if we've got related products and products showing up, how do we make the images, you know, all fit? The simple answer is get your images looking good to begin with and have them in a similar aspect ratio is the easiest way to do it. The more complex way is restricting it with heights and widths with CSS, and you can definitely do that if you wish. All right, so now we have a basic slideshow set up on our homepage, and that is up and running. And you can see that that second image has now been, that first image has now been reviewed, and we've got a slideshow going. There's another question here. In terms of styling using CSS, are there any limitations on available CSS tags? Can we use any font? You can use whatever you want. If you want to set the font to be Comic Sans, go ahead. There's no limitation. Those CSS fields and other JavaScript entries and things like that are completely at your discretion. There's no things that will stop you on that. Good. So where are we? Next thing we want to do is we've created a slideshow, but it would be good to show our featured products down here. So let's go ahead and create that as an example. So again, on our homepage, we want to create a new content block, and we go to a new content block and we call it, choose featured products from here and partner featured products. And that's all we really need to do to create the content block itself. So we'll put that at position 20, so it's a bit further down the page, and we'll save that. And now what we need to do is go and edit that featured products. And over on this side, we're going to add the products connected to this content block. So we'll add the neckties. So we'll go the green and put that position 1. And then the red and put that at position 2. And then the peach with stripes. And then let's put one more in there, the dark maroon. So we'll save that, and that will now synchronize across in a minute or so. But again, what we've seen there is we've just gone ahead and created a content block that adds featured products to the site and allows us to position it in different orders or different layouts. So if we go over to the store now and refresh this, in a minute, it will come up. So we'll just come back to that in a second, make sure that's there. But perhaps we want to add a little bit of content between these two. We can do that with, actually, one second. Okay, good. So we can do, well, there's the featured products, right? So that's been synchronized across now. And these are all then clickable, just go straight to cart, do that sort of thing. So you might have noticed within the content blocks when we were creating it, there was many other things that we could create on that. So the other templates there, for example, we could put featured articles. So you might have various blog posts that you have on the site that you want to feature on the homepage. Featured pages. So you can feature a page within a featured content block. So you could have a go visit this, or this is our latest information on that, and this sort of thing within the platform. We have featured categories, which are product categories, such as bikes or helmets or tires in this case, single images and media reference documents, image beside text, image with text overlay, all this sort of thing. So maybe we want to do an image beside text as the next one. And we're going to align that left. So it's going to hang over onto the left-hand side. And we'll put that in there. And the image, we might choose that first slideshow image, the vertical one. And then within the text, we could just put some random content in there instead of having to think about something to type. Just go ahead and put some Lorem Ipsum content, which is the mainstay of every web developer in the world. And we'll go and save that. And we'll put that at position maybe 15, just in between the slideshow and the other one. And that will synchronize across as well in a minute. Good, so let me just look through. Okay, another thing you might want to do on a homepage is add about us or where to find us, or this could be a about us page type content. So we're going to put this at position 30. In this case, we'll just call it just a simple text content blocks. And if we go look at what a text content block does, where is it? Here. So we'll look at a text content block. So a text content block is going to take a heading, a subtitle, and content. And the content can be plain text, markdown, or HTML. So in this case, we're going to say partner where to find us. And it says it takes a title, so where to find us. Please come and visit our office at any time. And then because these content blocks here are markdown enabled, we can go ahead and just inject a iframe from Google. So this is just a simple Google Maps solution. So we'll just inject that in there and put it at position 40 so it's at the bottom of the page and let that go across and update. And in the meantime, we can come over here and we can see that single image with image beside text. Obviously, not ideal, right? Because it's this massive image. But again, this is something where you as designers would be adjusting the size of that image so it looks correct on the page you're looking at. You can also do custom styling within the CSS and restrict the height of that image and do things like that if that's what you need. But that will really be up to the design of how you want to put the site together. While we're waiting for the other thing to come up, maybe another thing you wanted to do is instead of having single images within this slideshow, you might want to put one of the other items in there. So we could put the featured products into the slideshow. So we'll put that at position 2, say. We'll hit save on that. And you can put anything into the slideshow because it's just nesting a content block. So that will come up and display in a moment quite happily. And there's the where to find us. That's now been displayed and launched down the bottom. Do you have recommended image sizing for areas? It really depends. Herson could probably answer that more easily. He would know that off the top of your head. So Herson, perhaps if you send that to me and I can show them the right spot. But the key thing really is you just want to be consistent on your aspect ratio. So these are going to be more vertical. If you wanted them more horizontal, you'd change the aspect ratio to that. StoreConnect, when it pulls it down from the CDN, will actually pull down a small image and it will resize that image dynamically as it's pulling that content down to make sure that we're not displaying multi-megabyte images on a small content area. Good questions, by the way. I'm really enjoying it. So this here, you can see that we've got an image slideshow, and then we've also got the content blocks within it. So we've gone ahead and embedded a different content block within the slideshow, and you could do this for any content block within the system. In terms of the image media sizes, this reference is really good in terms of hanging that together. Thanks, Wayne, for sending that through. And this will give you some ideas around what to do with your image sizes, how to upload them, what the file size limits are for the different things that come up, and how to do bulk uploading videos, updating existing media records. Actually, I'll come back to this in just a minute. But then there's this other reference here, which is on what to do about aspect ratios and how to put them together. And that's on the website as well. So both of these will give you some data in terms of what to fit where and how to put that all together. I hope that answered your question. Another thing, when we were uploading the media before, you might have noticed this. Where are we? Media. So when we create a new media object, you have a choice. You can either drag and drop the image here, or you can upload a URL. So how would that work? So say we're over here at Get StoreConnect, and I really like this image from my previous website. It's running on the previous website, and I drill down and I find that image wherever it is. Eventually, I'll find that image. No, I won't. I'll find another image to upload. Here we go. Let's do this one. Okay, so here's an image here that's on Cloudinary, and we want to upload that into StoreConnect. Instead of typing downloading it, saving it, and uploading it, Partner StoreConnect wheel. We can just pass it a URL and hit save. This is super useful if you're migrating a lot of images from an old website to a new website, because what you can do is just have that get imported by our servers and then uploaded into your content delivery network. So you can see here that it's now saved, but it's generating the preview because it's still going to go and fetch that. And there you go. It's now fetched it off the internet and saved that locally into your own content delivery network. Good. Great questions, by the way. Enjoying it. So yes, there you go. Obviously, this could be very much more styled, right? I'm showing you the complete basics right here. And styling, you can be as complex as you want. I mean, to give you an example, this is a homepage designed completely on StoreConnect. Now that you know how StoreConnect works, you can see that this could be an image with text overlay here. This is an image beside text. Here's an uploaded video, image with text over the top. Here's another text with image beside image on the other way. Here's another text content block with the background video playing, so on and so forth, right? So now you can start identifying how they're pulling these together and what they're using in the site. So before I go to questions and support, I'm just going to show you another couple of things because we're running a little bit early. So we also have a whole theme builder. So what a theme builder does is within here, within here. So these content blocks, these are all specific types, right? Featured products, image beside text, but maybe the style or the template that's being rendered with those, the actual HTML just doesn't work for you. You know, you want to add some extra metadata here, or you want to change the sequence, or you want to change the layout to put the title at the top and the image underneath, or you want to do anything like that. The way you do that is through themes. This will be a subject of a new webinar, and we will actually show building a theme. Themes allow you to create templates, locales, assets, and variables. So a template means that you could overwrite the featured products template to be something else. So it's showing different cards, different styles, different links. The locales allow you to build out language translation within your theme. So you could launch a French store and a German store. Assets are images specifically for the theme. So think menu line graphics, or JavaScript file that you want to upload, or a CSS file that you want to edit elsewhere and then have embedded within that theme. And variables are content that you want to have available within Liquid within that theme and make that available. And all of these are just standard objects within Salesforce. So again, you can back them up using Data Loader. You can import them using Data Loader. You can create a theme that's your IP as a partner and then sell that to your clients and upload it into their store so that you don't have to rebuild it every single time you want to build a store. Later this year, probably, actually now that we're in May, it's probably going to be early next year, we are planning to launch a theme marketplace where you can sell your themes to all StoreConnect customers, and they can be automatically installed as well. Good. So I've got some more questions here. While building a page site, is it being built live? In other words, is there a point where we would publish the page site? Yes, it is being built live. So if you wanted to edit the homepage, for example, without changing the current homepage, what you would do is you'd come in here and you'd edit this and you'd put it temporarily on a path. So new homepage, right? And then you'd save that, and that would be available on that homepage. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that it's still being listed here as a homepage on the store. So we'd take that one off as well. And then in a moment, that will synchronize across. It can take up to a couple of minutes sometimes to synchronize across. But if we go and do this, yeah, it's not there yet. So that'll come up in a minute and you'd be able to edit it directly from there, and it will be gone. Oh, there it is. It's gone from the old site. So let's just make sure that it is on the new site. And where were we? Pages, partner webinar homepage. There we go, new homepage. See if it's come up. Not yet. It'll come up in a minute. So that is how you would do it though. You would move the homepage to a new page and then edit that live until you're happy with it. And then you turn it back on the other way. Hope that answered that question. You can also obviously disable the store. So that's another thing you could do, is you can go into the store here and edit it and turn the store off. So if you disable this store, the actual whole site won't work until you re-enable it. So that's a key aspect to have live on the site, where you can turn off a store. So that store is now offline for maintenance until it's ready to go live again. All of these things are in the website, disable store. There you go, how to disable a store. So a lot of that will be answered directly within the platform. So go ahead and play around with that. Okay, great. Any comments on mobile readiness? That's a good question. So if I undisable that store and then give it a minute, that will go in and do what we expect. And that store should come back online. There we go. And I've taken the homepage off, haven't I? So let's fix that. Good. And we should have that come up in just a moment. Oh, no, because I'm on the, there we go. So you can see here, if I actually shrink my screen, all the inbuilt templates will go down to a mobile-friendly version of them, according to the template list that I showed you before. So if you come back over here and go to documentation, go to page styling, go to content block containers, this will show how they break down in the mobile view as you go down. So all of the inbuilt containers have that by default. And if you are extending StoreConnect with your own theme, you can lean on our existing content and just extend it. You don't have to replace the whole thing. You can just tweak or add 1 or 2 extra container types or 1 or 2 extra content block templates and go from there. Hope that answered your question, Naveed. All right, good. Well, that puts us towards the end of the webinar. We are a few minutes early by design so that I can go into any other aspects of the site or the CMS or the way that it works. So if there are any other questions, spit them out and we'll go from there. I think the key thing while we're waiting is to remember that pretty much everything you need to be able to do is achievable within the StoreConnect site. It just comes down to making sure that you're going through and using the right containers for the right objects. There's another question here. Okay, yeah. So there's a question, would you just start directly building the site within StoreConnect? I'd recommend not. You're probably better off creating it as a wireframe and then identifying the common types of content block. So if you go look at some of the websites that have been created with StoreConnect, like this one, you can see that there's certain types of content blocks. So this is an image beside text. This is an image beside text. This is a 3 with wrapping. So identify those wireframes and the types of content blocks you need, and then go and import it bit by bit. Once you actually start editing inside of StoreConnect, you want to make that as thought-free as possible. You just want to be putting the content in and getting that built. So it's best practice to definitely focus in on building out the wireframes and making sure those wireframes are correct and you have buy-in and things like that. Another thing from Daryl's question earlier about, are you editing it live? You are, as I mentioned. However, with the theme builder, that opens up another option of being able to preview a theme on the live store without impacting the current store in any major sense. If you change the content, that would change. But if you're changing the styling or adding a new content block template or things like that, you could achieve that with theme builder without impacting the current store. All right. Well, I think that's it on the questions, unless there's anything last that should be said. But otherwise, thank you very much. If you have any questions or want to follow up on this, please reach out to Virginia. She's your point of contact. I should also say that if you have any actual questions on how to build the store, you all have your partner logins to the StoreConnect partner portal. And you can also email support@getstoreconnect.com with any technical questions. If they're not answering you or you're not getting joy out of that, please contact Virginia and she will crack the appropriate whips to ensure that you get your answer. She does it in a very nice way though, so don't worry about that. Thank you very much for joining. It's been a pleasure having you here. I really appreciate the questions. They were fantastic. I just think there might have been one more that just came in. Let me just check. No, that was a thank you. So yes, let's get on with it. And I'll hand back to Virginia and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.
Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.